My sister was a child star, but after her voice changed at 18, it became quite ordinary. She discovered a parasitic worm called the vocal cord parasite that could make one's singing voice heavenly. She said this would make her a top-tier internet celebrity. I looked it up and found that the vocal cord parasite is a parasite that feeds on human health and vitality, and its excretions are highly toxic to the mind. I managed to talk her out of it. I forced her to study music, and she made a stunning comeback through her sheer talent. But she resented me, setting me up during a live stream which drove me to take my own life. When I opened my eyes again, I had traveled back to the moment she told me about her vocal cord nodules. I won't stand in the way. I looked at her and smiled. All right, sis. Look, this vocal cord bug is amazing. Just implant it in the throat and your voice will be restored. No, it'll be 100 times better than before. My sister, Faye, shoved her phone right in my face. It was a creepy forum with a post title in bold blood-red characters. One night of heavenly music and you're just one divine insect away from stardom. My heart clenched violently, pounding uncontrollably. The calendar on the wall showed the exact date, 3 years ago to the day, that I had jumped from the rooftop in my previous life. When I saw words like parasite, sucking the life force, and mental poisoning, I was utterly terrified. I snatched her phone and smashed it hard on the ground. I exhausted every possible means to persuade her, taking her to see a therapist, spending all my savings to enroll her in the most elite music masterclasses. I thought I was saving her, and indeed, over 3 years, she harnessed the talent I pushed her to uncover and became a singer-songwriter. But how did she repay me? During the live stream celebration for the multi-million-dollar endorsement deal I secured for her, she burst into tears in front of millions of viewers, putting on a heart-wrenching performance. My sister Aurora was jealous of me. She drugged me after my voice changed to ruin my vocal cords, manipulated me psychologically, and used me as her cash cow. She even produced fabricated medical records and audio recordings. I went from being a top-tier agent to the vicious sister everyone online loves to hate. My phone was flooded with hateful private messages. The company terminated my contract in a flash, and sky-high penalty fees and lawsuits came pouring in like a blizzard. My mother stormed into the house and, without asking for an explanation, slapped me across the face. Aurora, how could I have given birth to a monster like you? Faye is your own sister. How could you do such a thing? With no way out and surrounded by a torrent of curses, I jumped from the 33rd floor. After I died, I saw Faye standing over my corpse, her smile radiant yet piercing. I was reborn. Facing the camera with tears still glistening in the corners of her eyes, she spoke in an airy tone. Thank you all for helping me rid myself of the devil. From now on, I'll bring you more beautiful songs. My mother held her close, cradling her like a rare treasure, and tenderly wiped away those crocodile tears. My dear daughter, she said, it's all over now. From now on, I'll cherish only you. So all these years, my wholehearted devotion was nothing but a stepping stone on the path for that mother-daughter duo. Staring at that venomous face, hatred festered within me. Suppressing the urge to kill, I took the phone, my knuckles white from gripping it. I pretended to study it carefully, reading every word on the screen. Vocal cord insects, they do sound impressive. I looked up, forcing a worried expression. But Faye, are these things safe? Seeing I wasn't exploding like last time, Faye immediately softened. She leaned in, grabbing my arm and whining. Sis, you've always spoiled me the most. Just listen to this awful voice of mine. How am I any different from some random person on the street? If this keeps up, all my fans will leave. I don't want an ordinary life. I want to stand on the biggest stage and make everyone scream for me. I understand your dream, of course. But with something like this, we have to be careful. Let your sister look into it for you. Find the most reliable option to make sure there's all right. Faye's eyes instantly lit up. She threw her arms around me in excitement, shrieking in my ear. Sis, I knew you were the best. You'll help me for sure, right? Of course. I hugged her back, my face devoid of any warmth. I will help you. I'll personally send you down the shortcut to hell that you chose yourself." Before my mother even stepped through the door, her voice came crashing in. "My darling daughter, have you practiced singing today? I've made you some premium bird's nest soup. Come and have some." In her eyes, Faye was always the golden goose, while I was just part of the backdrop. Faye took the bird's nest soup and cooed, "Thanks," then shot me a knowing look. I set down the tablet containing the forged documents I'd spent all afternoon preparing. Clearing my throat, I said to my mother, "I need to discuss something with Faye. She's been so depressed about her vocal condition lately. Through a friend, I learned about this ancient remedy from a southern tribe that can completely transform someone's voice." Mom immediately grew concerned. "What kind of remedy? Don't you dare let anything happen to my daughters." "It's perfectly safe," I assured her, handing over the tablet displaying the professionally fabricated presentation I'd paid to have made. The slides were filled with before and after comparison videos of internet celebrities showing a night and day difference in their voices. You see, many overnight viral singers use this. It's an ancient tradition with a beautiful name, celestial voice charm. Sounds elegant, doesn't it? I deliberately rebranded the disgusting term, vocal cord parasite, as celestial voice charm. Faye nodded vigorously beside me. "Mom, Sis has done all the research. It's totally safe. Please let me try it. I really can't stand my current voice anymore." My mother was completely dazzled by the idea of overnight fame. In her eyes, Faye's voice was a golden goose, her ticket to a secure future. As long as it could make that goose lay golden eggs again, she'd let Faye try anything, be it a heavenly voice potion or even a deal with the devil concoction. She swallowed hard and asked, "How much would that cost?" I held up 2 fingers. "The initial summoning ritual is 200,000. After that, you'll need special herbs from the southern regions to nurture the charm. That'll run you 10 to 20,000 a month." The seller on that forum only asked for 50,000. The extra 150,000 would naturally end up in my pocket. This was the first pot of gold I'd secured for myself in this new life. When my mom heard it was 200,000, her face twitched. But then she thought about the profits Faye brought in at her peak, and she gritted her teeth. "As long as it helps Faye recover, any amount is worth it. Aurora, I'm putting you in charge of this. Make sure it's done right. If you need more money, just tell me." "Don't worry, I'll get it done," I said with a nod, smirking inwardly. Faye was so thrilled she nearly jumped for joy, hugging and kissing my mom while squealing with delight. Mom held her close and started daydreaming about her future as the mother of a star. Watching the two of them lost in their foolish daydreams just struck me as ridiculous. Perfect match. One's eager to punish, the other's eager to take it. In this lifetime, I'll make sure you're pampered like royalty. I'll show you what lies at the end of desire. With 50 grand in hand, I quickly got in touch with the seller. The contact was elusive, using only encrypted apps to communicate. They instructed me to leave the cash in a designated locker, promising to provide the address afterward. I transferred the remaining 150,000 into an offshore account that no one else knew about. Then, with Faye in tow, I followed the address to a dimly lit shop tucked deep within a shantytown. The shopkeeper was a sinister middle-aged woman with viper-like eyes. Without a word, she led us into the back room where she used ebony chopsticks to retrieve a writhing, grain-sized snow-white insect from a black ceramic jar. "Vocal cord goo," the woman rasped. "The implantation will sting. For the next 7 days, her throat will swell and burn like fire. No talking, only liquids. After that, her voice will be exactly what you desire." Faye's face went pale as she stared at the wriggling insect, but the longing in her eyes overpowered the fear. "I'm ready," she said, her voice trembling. Standing beside her, I squeezed her hand and whispered gently in her ear, "Don't be scared, Faye. I'm right here with you. Just think of the stage, your fans, it'll all be worth it." The implantation process was crude and brutal. With a sharp silver knife, the woman made an incision in Faye's throat over my mother's horrified gasp, inserted the insect into the wound, and sealed it with a glob of dark ointment. Faye convulsed in agony, her face streaked with tears and mucus, yet only a faint wheezing sound escaped her throat. My mother watched from the side, wiping her tears as her heart ached, murmuring, "My darling, you're enduring such torment just to make something of yourself." I handed her a tissue and comforted her.
Mom, don't be sad.
This pain is necessary for her metamorphosis. Faye collapsed the moment we got home. She was burning up with fever, her throat so swollen it looked like she'd swallowed a walnut. All she could manage were these guttural, rasping sounds. Following the woman's instructions, I prepared a poultice daily by grinding fresh raw meat with herbs into a paste, which I then fed to her. The concoction reeked to high heaven. My mother would always pinch her nose and retreat to her room, leaving the feeding entirely to me. "Hurry up, it's time for Faye to eat." Ugh, this smell is killing me. Without a word of complaint, I carried the bowl into Faye's room. She was delirious with fever. When she saw the bowl in my hand, her eyes filled with revulsion and disgust. I scooped up a spoonful and brought it to her cracked lips. In a voice so low only the two of us could hear, I whispered like a demon, "Eat up. This is the premium fuel for your path to stardom." She glared at me weakly, forced to open her mouth as I spoon-fed her that vile substance. Those 7 days were pure hell for her. They were the overture to my revenge. Watching her waste away day by day, her eyes sunken, her skin sallow, I felt no pity, only the savage thrill of vengeance taking root. After 7 days, her high fever broke. The swelling in her throat had miraculously vanished. That morning, she tentatively cleared her throat upon waking. Then, she let out a single sound. The voice carried an enchanting quality that seemed to seep into the very marrow of one's bones. My mother, who had been watching the news in the living room, heard it and rushed in as if struck by lightning. Faye herself was stunned. She touched her throat in disbelief, then tremblingly sang another line of the song. Every vocal run, every trill, was executed with flawless perfection, brimming with an intoxicating emotional pull. That voice doesn't sound human. It's like a siren's. I did it,
Mom.
Overwhelmed with joy, Faye burst into tears and threw herself into my mother's arms. My mother held her, so excited she could barely form words. Oh my God, that voice. Faye, you're going to be a superstar. Our family is going to make it big. We're going to be rich. I stood to the side, smiling and clapping for her. Congratulations, Faye. Your dream has finally come true. Yes, she said, nodding her head with an air of haughty grace. Faye's new voice became her secret weapon to conquer the industry. I immediately registered accounts for her on all major platforms with a straightforward username, Celestial Faye. The first video was a clip of her singing an old song a cappella. No background music, no makeup, just a girl in a white dress quietly singing by the window. The moment it was posted, the video exploded like a bomb, sending massive waves across the platform. It amassed over 30 million views and more than 5 million shares. The comment section is filled with endless exclamations of amazement. Mind-blowing. Is this a voice blessed by angels? No, this is an angel descended to earth. I declare my ears are pregnant. You have to take responsibility for this, sis. This voice is addictive. I've had it on repeat for 3 hours and just can't stop. Faye has gone viral, spreading like wildfire across the internet. Her follower count is skyrocketing daily, and my inbox is flooded with offers for brand deals and collaborations. My mom is grinning from ear to ear, crunching numbers on her calculator all day, and looking at me with unprecedented warmth. Aurora, you're the clever one. This is all thanks to you. Faye wouldn't be where she is today without you. I smiled modestly and said, Faye has a natural talent and a great voice. I'm just here to lend a hand. Naturally, I became Faye's exclusive agent, taking care of everything for her. I scheduled her with the most packed itinerary, live streams, recording sessions, commercial shoots, variety shows, leaving no breathing room in her schedule. My plan was to make her an overnight sensation only to watch her come crashing down just as quickly. The side effects of the vocal cord parasite are kicking in faster than I anticipated. Faye's appetite has been growing ravenous, yet she's becoming impossibly picky. She spits out regular food after one bite. Only my special concoction of raw meat and herbs can satisfy her. I source those herbs regularly from that enigmatic shopkeeper, paying a premium price, of course. I tell my mom they cost 10 times the actual amount. Beyond her eating habits, her energy levels have plummeted dramatically. On camera, she radiates with charm and sings with a captivating voice. But the moment the live stream ends, she collapses into her chair like a boneless heap, completely drained. Her skin turns deathly pale, requiring thick layers of foundation to conceal. The dark circles under her eyes are so severe, as if she'd been punched multiple times, that even the heaviest concealer can't hide them. During one live stream, right as she hit the climax of her song, she suddenly broke into a violent coughing fit. She clamped a hand over her mouth, her face instantly turning as pale as a sheet. The chat was immediately flooded with messages of concern. "What's wrong? Are you too tired? So worried about Faye? You really need to take care of yourself." I immediately rushed into the frame, handed her some water, and then ended the live stream, blaming it on internet issues. Back in the room, Faye was hunched over the trash can and coughed up a thick, blood-streaked glob of phlegm. Inside the phlegm, a few tiny black thread-like objects seemed to be wriggling. She took one look and let out a short, sharp scream of fright. Without changing my expression, I walked over, wrapped up the phlegm, and flushed it down the toilet. "Don't make a fuss," I said calmly. "It's just throat strain and inflammation. That woman said it's the celestial voice goo, helping you detox. Once it's all cleared out, your voice will be even better." Faye looked at me with a mix of doubt and fear in her eyes. "Really? Of course it's true." I patted her back, my voice soft yet firm. "You're a superstar now, the center of attention with a God-given voice. Isn't it normal to pay a small price? Think about everything you've gained. What's this little issue in comparison?" I managed to convince her. Indeed, compared to the flowers, applause, and endless stream of money, these minor issues really don't amount to much. She touched up her makeup and went live again, flashed her signature sweet smile at the camera, and playfully apologized to her fans for the earlier internet glitch. Looking at that smile plastered on her face, a smile now filled with nothing but desire, I knew she was completely trapped with no way back. Faye has grown increasingly dependent on me. I'm her all-capable agent, her sole provider, and the only person who can prepare her essential customized meals, and the only person who can obtain the specialized medication that alleviates her physical discomfort. I've become the indispensable pillar in her life. My mother, on the other hand, had completely turned into a money-counting mascot. Every day she'd stare at the ever-growing numbers in the account, grinning so hard her face was all wrinkles, completely ignoring the worrying signs in Faye's health. Even if she occasionally noticed Faye looking unwell, I'd brush it off with, "All artists are like this under pressure." My mother totally bought it and would even turn around and advise Faye, "Faye, you're at a crucial stage right now. You must listen to everything your sister says. Look how well she's taking care of you." Though Faye sensed her health deteriorating, the constant adoration from fans, thunderous applause, and staggering income quickly overshadowed her unease. She grew increasingly arrogant and domineering. She threw tantrums at staff and showed zero respect for industry veterans. Whispers of her diva behavior spread like wildfire, yet her immense popularity kept anyone from confronting her openly. I never reined her in. In fact, whenever conflicts arose, I'd step up and fiercely defend her stance. I'll make sure she offends everyone and becomes completely isolated. That way, not a single hand will reach out to help her. Besides her temper, her mental state began to deteriorate as well. She grew intensely paranoid, constantly convinced that someone was out to harm her and steal her voice. One day, one of my own hairs accidentally found its way into the special meal I served her. She immediately let out a piercing scream, hurled the bowl to the floor, and jabbed a finger in my face, shrieking, "Aurora, are you trying to poison me? Waiting for me to die so you can inherit everything? Is that it?" I didn't get angry. I just quietly knelt down and started gathering the shattered pieces of the bowl. My mom rushed out at the noise, took in the chaotic mess on the floor, and immediately rounded on Faye, yelling, "Have you lost your mind? Your sister went through all the trouble to cook for you, and this is how you act. She's trying to kill me." Faye screamed hysterically. "There's poison in her food." I stood up, my eyes welling up with perfectly timed tears, my face a picture of hurt. "Why would I ever want to harm you? It was just a single hair. If you don't believe me, I'll make you a fresh portion right now." My utterly wronged expression instantly triggered my mother's protective instincts. She pulled me behind her in one swift motion and launched into a tirade at Faye. "You've had a taste of fame, and now you've forgotten your place. Without your sister, where would you be today? Apologize to her this instant." Faye was stunned by the scolding, but knowing she still needed me, she clenched her jaw and forced out 3 strained words. "I'm sorry, sis." I magnanimously said it was fine, then turned and walked into the kitchen to prepare her a fresh meal. In the kitchen, with my back to the living room and positioned in a blind spot of the surveillance camera, I poured a small packet of colorless, odorless powder into the new special meal I had prepared for her, stirring it thoroughly. I bought another new type of medicinal powder from the same shopkeeper. She claimed the substance would make the goo worms more excitable and their songs more enchanting. The price is your mind slowly deteriorating, making you see things you shouldn't. Faye, enjoy the feast I've prepared for you. Do you know what hell looks like? After that incident, Faye's mental state visibly deteriorated. She would often jolt awake in the middle of the night, screaming that she saw countless black bugs crawling out of the walls and swarming her bed. Sometimes she would sit alone in her room, laughing and crying at thin air. My mother panicked and secretly took her to see a psychologist several times. But all the test results came back normal, so the doctor could only diagnose her with excessive stress and prescribe some vitamins. Those medications were completely useless. Faye's condition was getting worse. She'd zone out during live streams, suddenly give the camera this eerie smile, or stare in terror at empty corners. Though concerned, most fans chalked it up to artistic sensitivity. Some even thought her unhinged demeanor was cool, calling her the ultimate damaged beauty. I knew it was time to take the next step. Through connections from my past life, I reached out to Leaf, a top-tier music producer in the country. Leaf is widely recognized in the industry as a prodigy, notoriously arrogant, and known for never working with internet-famous singers. In my previous life, he had wanted to collaborate with Faye, but unfortunately, she was filled with resentment at the time and publicly humiliated Leaf, calling his music outdated. I won't let this happen again in this lifetime. I anonymously sent that viral a cappella video of Faye to Leaf's email. Within 3 days, Leaf personally called. "Miss Faye, is it? Your sister's voice is the most unique I've heard in the past decade. I want to create a custom album for her." Leaf's voice was full of excitement. "You're too kind, Mr. Leaf," I said humbly. "Faye is truly honored by your recognition." When I told Faye the news, she was sitting at her vanity, nervously plucking stray hairs from her comb with a blank look. Her hair was falling out in clumps, and her hairline was visibly receding. She curled her lip dismissively at the name. "That old fossil? His music is so dated. I wouldn't be caught dead collaborating with him." Faye," I said patiently, walking up behind her and massaging her shoulders. "Leaf is the best producer in the country. Working with him can elevate your image from internet celebrity to young artist. You're popular now, but people in the industry say you lack class. This album is your chance to prove them all wrong." The word artist hit Faye's vanity right on the mark. She hesitated. I pressed my advantage. "Besides, I've heard Leaf admires singers with spirit. The state you're in now, from an artist's perspective like his, might be seen as a unique artistic quality. Who knows, he might even see you as his muse." Faye's eyes lit up instantly. She tossed the tweezers aside and flashed a strange smile at her reflection, haggard, yet still beautiful. "I accept. Tell him I expect to be treated like a queen." "No problem," I replied with a smile. "The only person in our past life who genuinely appreciated us sisters. I'm truly sorry about this. In this life, You shall become the most crucial pawn in my revenge scheme. When Leaf first laid eyes on Faye, his gaze held undisguised astonishment. Faye was in great form that day, wearing the white gown I picked for her with light makeup, sitting there quietly like an ethereal fairy. Miss Faye, your voice is a gift from God. Leaf lavished praise without restraint, gazing at her as if she were a masterpiece. Faye took the compliment with evident pleasure, nodding her head with an air of haughty grace. The initial phase of our collaboration went remarkably well. The song Leaf wrote for Faye has a sophisticated melody and profound artistic conception, perfectly showcasing the magic in her voice. During recording sessions, the moment Faye started singing, everyone in the studio would be instantly captivated. The look in Leaf's eyes when he watched her gradually shifted from admiration to a touch of infatuation. I witnessed all of this unfolding before my eyes. I know he's taken the bait, and my revenge had only just begun. A gifted soul immersed in the world of art is most easily captivated by this kind of beauty tinged with mystery and fragility. He won't see it as a flaw, but rather as a hallmark of genius. And I'm going to tear this beauty to pieces right before his eyes. During the album production, I started accidentally letting Leaf witness Faye's episodes. One time, Faye was in the lounge, frantically talking to herself in the mirror, alternating between tears and laughter. Another time, she suddenly burst into the break room, snatched a staff member's lunchbox, and like a wild animal, began shoveling the cold food into her mouth with her bare hands. Every time Leaf saw this, he was utterly shocked. I would immediately step in, pull him aside, and explain with a worried expression, "I'm sorry, Professor Leaf. We didn't mean to startle you. Faye, she's under tremendous pressure and not in a stable state of mind. She's been a prodigy since childhood, always holding herself to impossibly high standards. This sudden fame has become overwhelming for her." As I spoke, I kept stealing glances at Leaf's reaction. His eyes showed no trace of disgust, only deeper compassion. "She's been through so much," he said, his brow furrowed with genuine concern. "It's heartbreaking to see such a brilliant soul endure." I smirked inwardly. The fish had taken the bait. I echoed. I said, my voice trembling with feigned emotion, "I'm terrified she might break one day. Professor Leaf, could you perhaps offer her some guidance? She truly looks up to you. Your words might reach." "Of course, it's my duty," Leaf responded without hesitation. "Protecting my muse is an honor." From then on, Leaf's care for Faye extended beyond work to every aspect of her daily life. He would personally cook nutritious meals for her, yet Faye wouldn't take a single bite and dumped everything. Still, he persevered without complaint. He would keep her company with conversations and storytelling. Faye thoroughly reveled in the feeling of being pursued by such an exceptional talent. She began deliberately playing the part of a fragile, sensitive artist wounded by the world in front of Leaf. The atmosphere between them grew, increasingly charged. My mom caught on to the signs and excitedly pulled me aside in private. "Aurora, don't you think that Leaf has a thing for our Faye? I've looked into it. His family comes from a long line of intellectuals, and they're worth hundreds of millions. If Faye could marry him..." "Mom..." I cut off her daydream with a resigned smile. "Leaf genuinely cares about Faye." My mom's eyes lit up immediately. "That's fantastic. A power couple in the making. You've got to help Faye lock down this wealthy catch. The bride price should be at least 8 figures, and that downtown villa must be registered under Faye's." She immediately started eagerly calculating all the benefits she could get. Watching her so consumed by greed, I couldn't help but laugh. "Don't worry, Mom. I'll make sure Faye gets a grand send-off when she marries into the next life. Only catch is, the groom isn't Leaf, it's the king of hell." The album's release caused an unprecedented sensation. Overnight, Faye skyrocketed from internet celebrity to rising pop princess. She started sweeping music awards left and right, completely dominating the spotlight. Leaf threw a grand celebration banquet in her honor, and before all the media, he proposed to her. He knelt on one knee, holding up a pink diamond of at least 10 carats, his gaze filled with deep affection. "Faye, You are the muse of my music, the miracle of my life. Please marry me, and let me spend my life protecting you." Camera flashes went off wildly across the room, and everyone held their breath. Faye stared at the dazzling diamond ring, her eyes brimming with greed and vanity. She slowly reached out her hand, a triumphant smirk spreading across her face. Just as her fingertips were about to touch the ring, I stood behind her, pressed close to her ear, and uttered in an icy tone, "Your body is already rotting. Do you dare let him touch you?" The words hit her like a bucket of ice water, instantly extinguishing every last spark within her. That parasite had long since hollowed out her body. She relied on handfuls of medication to maintain her polished appearance while suffering through nights of drenching night sweats and hair loss. Beneath her skin, you could even see the bluish-black worm-like veins snaking their way along. She was terrified of letting anyone, especially Leaf, who saw her as his pure muse, see the ghastly, hollowed-out wreck she became after removing her makeup, not to mention marrying him and being intimate. Faye's face turned deathly pale in an instant. She jerked her hand back, as if stung by a scorpion. "I can't agree to this," she said, her voice trembling and her eyes filled with fear. Leaf was stunned, and the entire room erupted in an uproar. The tenderness on Leaf's face froze solid. Faye's mind raced as she stared at his anguished expression. How could she possibly tell him there was a parasitic insect living inside her body? Finally, her drug-addled and parasite-ravaged nerves concocted a brilliant excuse. She suddenly spun around, grabbed my arm with her nails digging deep into my flesh, then pointed at me and screamed with all her might in a piercing voice, "It's all because of her. Aurora. She's been controlling me like a vampire, using me as her cash cow. She forbids me from dating, saying if I dare marry you, she'll destroy everything I have." The entire room was stunned once again, all cameras and gazes instantly piercing through me. I stood there, stunned and wounded, as if unable to believe that my beloved younger sister would publicly slander me like this. Leaf stood up, frowning at me. "What on earth did you do to Faye?" Before I could say a word, Faye lunged at me, grabbing my collar with a death grip like she'd lost her mind. "She's a monster. She's always been jealous of my talent, trying to ruin me since we were kids. Leaf, save me. Get me out of here. I can't stand being under her control anymore. Last time around, she set me up exactly like this too. But back then, I was genuinely innocent and truly hurting watching her clumsy performance. Now, I can only find it laughable. Faye, your acting is as over the top as ever. But it doesn't matter, as long as the audience enjoys the show." Leaf's gaze shifted between Faye's crumbling composure and my own pitiful state, tongue-tied with tears welling in my eyes, his expression a tangled web. In the end, he chose to believe in the pure, fragile muse he held in his heart. He stepped forward, pulling Faye behind him as a shield, then fixed me with an icy, disappointed glare. "Aurora, she isn't your property. You have no right to meddle with her happiness." Staring at his self-righteous face, the last shred of guilt I harbored vanished into thin air. I gave a bitter smile, shook my head in despair, and without a word, turned away to exit the venue, leaving behind a lonely silhouette that seemed betrayed by the whole world. I knew that starting tonight, the rumor, vicious older sister controls her prodigy younger sister for money, would spread throughout the industry. That was exactly the effect I wanted. Leaf, you've just pushed away the last person in this world who could save you. Now, let the gates of hell swing wide open for you, just as I predicted. The aftermath of the victory banquet sent shockwaves across the internet. Hashtags like #the truth behind Faye's rejected proposal and #Aurora the controlling agent dominated the trending charts. Public opinion overwhelmingly sided with Faye and Leaf's rocky love life, while I was cast as the psychotic, vicious sister. Millions of Faye's fans flooded my social media platforms with vicious insults and curses directed at me. "Leave our Faye alone, you bloodsucker. I hope you get hit by a car with that nasty face of yours. How can you be so vicious? Are you even fit to be her sister? Get out of Faye's life now, or we'll dox your entire family." I scrolled through those vicious comments one by one, feeling completely unfazed. Compared to the agony of being cyberbullied to the point of suicide in my past life, these words now feel like a gentle breeze brushing past me. My mom was absolutely furious too. When she called, it wasn't out of concern for me, but to demand, "Aurora, what are you trying to do? Are you jealous of Faye's happiness? Why would you stand in the way of her marrying Leaf? Such a perfect catch." "I'm not standing in her way," I said calmly. "Faye made that decision herself. Do you really believe her when she says I'm controlling her? I don't care. Everyone's criticizing you now, and you're damaging Faye's reputation. You need to issue a statement immediately saying how close you sisters are and that all those media stories are fabricated," my mother demanded unreasonably.
Fine.
I did publish a statement. In the statement, I fondly recalled childhood memories with my sister and expressed how I'd always treated her dreams as my own. With tears in my eyes, I explained that my sister had been under immense pressure lately, which caused her to be mentally overwhelmed and say things she didn't mean. I pleaded with everyone not to take her words seriously. Finally, I announced that to give my sister more freedom, I would step down as her agent, leave the industry indefinitely, and no longer appear in her life. My statement was written with genuine emotion, deeply moving and heartfelt. Instantly, it shifted a portion of public opinion. Oh my God, my heart breaks for her. She gave everything, and this is the thing she gets? Does Faye have some kind of persecution complex?
She's always seemed a bit unhinged.
Regardless, the fact that she stepped aside voluntarily shows she's not a vampire, after all. When my mom saw the statement, she was so furious she nearly had a stroke. She called me right back. "Who told you to quit? If you're gone, who's going to take care of Faye? Who's going to buy her those damn pills?" I said with feigned emotion, "Faye doesn't need me anymore. As for the medicine, I'll send you the seller's contact information. From now on, you'll have to handle this on your own." After saying that, I hung up the phone and blocked her number. Starting today, this family and these two people won't get another cent from me. Meanwhile, after being rejected, Leaf didn't give up. Instead, it only fueled his protective instincts even more. He was convinced that Faye had become so unhinged precisely because I had oppressed her for far too long. He brought Faye to his luxurious hillside villa, showered her with affection, and promised to heal her with love. Faye was only too happy to be rid of me, moving into the mansion and living like a queen, pampered and waited on hand and foot. She thought she had finally found freedom and happiness. Little did she know, this was when her true nightmare began. Without the special meals and miracle medicine I prepared, the vocal cord parasite inside her was about to reveal its most ravenous and grotesque nature. My mother, clutching the contact information I gave her, rushed anxiously to find that female shop owner. But the moment the woman realized it wasn't me, she immediately grew guarded and coldly turned her away. "My products are exclusively for Miss Aurora. I don't deal with anyone else." My mother was so frantic she had to swallow her pride, constantly calling and texting me to beg for forgiveness. I ignored every single attempt. Meanwhile, Faye's condition took a sharp turn for the worse on the third day after moving into Leaf's villa. She couldn't keep any food down, vomiting incessantly every day as her body visibly wasted away. Her voice began to falter too, growing unstable and often breaking into harsh, raspy tones. Most terrifying of all, her hallucinations were growing increasingly severe. She kept claiming to see black insects crawling out of the walls, even emerging from Leaf's own body. She screamed and smashed everything in sight, turning Leaf's $100 million villa into complete chaos. At first, Leaf patiently soothed her and brought in the world's top doctors. But all the test results showed that her physical functions were perfectly normal. The doctors unanimously concluded that she was suffering from severe psychological issues. Leaf took her to see a psychiatrist, but Faye refused to cooperate, insisting she wasn't the one who was ill, it was the world that had gone mad. Over time, Leaf's patience and affection were slowly worn away. He watched as his once radiant muse turned into a gaunt, hysterical woman, and the adoration in his eyes finally gave way to exhaustion and irritation. Finally, after Faye flew into another rage and struck his forehead with a crystal ashtray, Leaf completely broke down. He dialed my number. When the call connected, I could clearly hear the tremor in his voice. "Aurora, you have to come see Faye. She doesn't have much time left." I'd been waiting for this call for a long time. In a voice heavy with exhaustion and sorrow, I said slowly, "Leaf, it's not that I don't want to take care of her, it's that she won't let me." "How is she doing now?" Leaf described Faye's condition, his voice filled with helplessness. "She refuses to eat, saying there are bugs in the food. She's become skin and bones, her voice is almost gone, and she keeps rambling all day. I really don't know what to do anymore. How did it come to this?" I choked out my voice, trembling with shock and heartache. She's had her ups and downs before, but never this bad. Could it be the change of environment? Maybe she just can't adjust. I skillfully guided him along. Leaf immediately latched onto this lifeline. "It must be. You're the only one she trusts, the only one whose cooking she'll eat. Aurora, I'm begging you, please come back. Whatever it takes to get her better, just name your price. I'll agree to anything." "I don't want anything in return," I said firmly. "She's my only sister. I can't just stand by and watch something happen to her. I'm on my way." After hanging up, I stared at my reflection in the mirror. The woman in the mirror had eyes as cold as frost, yet a faint smile played at the corners of her lips. "Faye, I've come back to send you off together on your final journey." When I arrived at Leaf's villa, I was met with complete chaos. The expensive carpet was stained with filth and vomit, while shards of a shattered antique vase lay scattered across the floor. Faye had locked herself in the bedroom and refused to come out. I walked up to the door and gave it a gentle knock. "Faye, it's your sister. I brought your favorite nutrient meal. Could you open the door for me?" The room fell silent for half a minute before Faye's wary voice came through. "You didn't put poison in it, did you? Silly girl. Why would I ever hurt you?" My voice was as gentle as a breeze. "I'm here to save you. Have you forgotten? In this whole world, only I can make you feel better." With a soft click, the door cracked open just a sliver. I pushed the door open and was hit by a wave of sour, musty stench. The room was unlit, with the curtains drawn tight, sealing out any breath of air. Faye was curled up in the corner of the bed like a skeleton, her hair a dry, tangled mess, staring at me with terrified eyes. I opened the food container, and a pungent smell of raw meat and herbs filled the air. A guttural, beast-like growl rumbled in Faye's throat, her eyes fixed intently on the container, like a wolf that had starved for 10 days. She struggled off the bed and scrambled toward me on all fours. I didn't flinch, letting her snatch the food container and scoop up the mush with her hands. She wolfed it down, smearing it all over her face. Leaf, who was following me, was rendered speechless by the horrifying scene. I pressed a finger to my lips, pulled him out of the room, and gently closed the door. How could she end up like this? Leaf's face turned deathly pale. "She's ill, a very strange illness." I began my prepared explanation, my face etched with sorrow and helplessness. "This condition means she can only eat this special food." The moment I left, with no one to prepare it for her, the toxins in her body flared up. As Leaf watched the woman in the room eating like a monster, the last trace of affection in his eyes shattered, replaced by sheer terror. What kind of illness is this? Can it be cured? Even the doctors can't figure it out. I shook my head in despair. All I know is that the southern border tribe who gave me the secret remedy practices an ancient, sacrificial ritual, said to completely cure this illness by drawing out the evil energy from the patient's body. I deliberately paused. Leaf pressed urgently. But what? But the ritual requires someone who shares the patient's bloodline and is willing to sacrifice everything for her, to act as the catalyst. I looked at him with unwavering determination. I'm willing to be that catalyst for her. However, I shifted my tone. The ritual requires a guardian. This person must be someone the patient deeply loves and who deeply loves her in return. They must stand by her side during the ceremony, using the power of their love to purify the malevolent. Professor Leaf, I can think of no one more suited for this role than you. I had successfully maneuvered Leaf into a moral position from which he couldn't refuse. If he refused, it would mean he didn't love Faye, that he was abandoning her in her hour of need. Given what little remained of his artist's pride, he would never turn his back. Sure enough, though his face was strained, Leaf gritted his teeth and nodded with difficulty. All right, I'll do it. Whatever it takes to save her. Wonderful, I exclaimed, gripping his hand with tears welling in my eyes. Mr. Leaf, you're truly a good man. For Faye's sake and for the love you share, I will definitely succeed. But inwardly I was sneering. Yes, I will certainly succeed. Succeed in sending you lovebirds straight to hell together. I warned Leaf that the sacrificial ritual was extremely perilous and must be conducted in an isolated location brimming with spiritual energy. I selected a long-abandoned estate registered under Leaf's name in the remote outskirts. The old mansion was rumored to be haunted, making it the perfect venue for my purposes. I also informed him that the ritual required 7 days of preparation, during which I must set up the formations alone in the mansion with absolutely no disturbances. Leaf took it as gospel and immediately handed me the key, vowing to keep everyone away. Key in hand, I went to the old house alone. I didn't set up any damn magic circle. I contacted a friend who specializes in secret chamber engineering, and together with his team, we gave the old house a makeover. We installed premium soundproofing materials, dozens of pinhole cameras, and a complete HD live streaming system in the basement. I also bribed a few gossip bloggers, paying them hush money to release a live stream link simultaneously at a designated time. I've even come up with a perfect title, The Celestial Diva and the Musical Prodigy, a sacrificial live stream like no other. After setting everything up, I returned to Leaf's villa. After a few days of eating my specially prepared meals, Faye's spirits lifted considerably and her voice returned. She had transformed back into that radiant superstar. Her attitude toward Leaf did a complete 180. She smiled at him, spoke gently, and thanked him for standing by her through thick and thin. Leaf thought his love had moved her, and he grew hopeful about the upcoming ceremony. My mom somehow found out I was going to be the conduit and called me again. Aurora, I heard you're performing some ritual for Faye. Is it dangerous? You can't afford to get hurt. What would happen to Faye if something happened to you? What would I do? Her feigned concern made me sick to my stomach. Mom, I'd do anything for Faye. But come to think of it, you're blood-related to Faye too. You'd probably make a better conduit than I would. Dead silence fell on the other end of the line. After a long pause, my mother stammered, I am getting old, and my health isn't good. You're young, you should handle it. Sure. I chuckled softly and hung up. That's my dear mother for you. Always putting herself first. The day before the ritual, I gave Faye a double dose of a special medicine. I brought her and Leaf to the old house I had renovated. I had them change into the white robes I prepared and led them into the dim, damp basement. In the center of the basement, a massive eerie symbol was painted in red. Hundreds of white candles flickered around it, casting ghostly shadows. The ritual begins now, I commanded in an eerie tone. Lie down in the center. Professor Leaf, sit beside her and hold her hand. No matter what happens, don't let go. Keep thinking of your love for her. Let that love be her shield. The oppressive atmosphere left them no choice but to comply without question. I moved to the corner where they couldn't see me and slowly pulled shut the heavy iron door, sealing the basement completely. I flipped a switch hidden within the wall. A harsh, rustling sound instantly filled the basement, like countless insects skittering across the floor. I'd created that sound using special effects software. At the same time, hidden projectors whirred to life, casting distorted giant insect shadows across the walls and their white robes. Faye, already under the influence of the drugs, completely broke down under the terrifying sensory assault. Bugs. So many bugs. She let out a piercing scream, trying to scramble to her feet and flee. But Leaf held her firmly, shouting in her ear, Don't be afraid. Faye, it's an illusion. The evil energy is being drawn out. I'm here with you. I love you. It's real. They're biting me. They're trying to burrow into my body. Faye struggled frantically, clawing bloody scratches into her face and arms with her nails. Leaf could only hold her more tightly in his arms. Standing in the monitoring room next door, I watched the chaotic and frenzied scene through the one-way glass, a satisfied smile spreading across my face. Then I picked up the microphone. In a distorted, androgynous voice processed through a modulator, I slowly began to speak. Welcome to my live stream. My voice, amplified through the speakers, reached Faye and Leaf's ears with crystal clarity. They both froze simultaneously, their eyes darting around in panic. Who's there? Who's speaking? Leaf's voice trembled with fear and rage. Ignoring him, I continued in an eerie tone. Now, we shall witness a spectacular performance. The show is called Human and Goo. At the same time, dozens of gossip bloggers simultaneously posted the live stream link across the entire internet. Countless netizens, drawn in by the title, flooded into the live stream like a tidal wave. The live stream footage showed the main surveillance camera angle from the basement. Dim lighting, an embracing couple, and walls crawling with squirming insects that would make anyone's sanity plummet. The barrage exploded instantly. Holy crap. What is this? Are they filming a cult movie? Isn't that Faye and Leaf? What are they doing? The atmosphere is so eerie, even a tough guy like me got goosebumps. Watching the scrolling comments, my smile widened. You must be wondering how our leading lady, the celestial songstress Miss Faye, possesses such a mesmerizing voice. Now, let me unveil the secret for you all. With that, I pressed another button. A video began playing simultaneously on the basement wall and in the live stream. The video footage captured the entire procedure of Faye having the vocal cord parasite implanted in that small shop. The eerie woman, the squirming white worm, the silver blade slicing open the throat, the gruesome scene of it being inserted, high definition and censored, with a full 360-degree view. What is this? It's absolutely disgusting. So that worm was implanted in her throat. Her angelic voice was actually produced by a worm? Oh my god, what kind of monster have I been a fan of? I'm going to be sick. I'm never listening to her songs again. The barrage was filled with wails and curses. Down in the basement, Leaf was completely dumbfounded. He released Faye in disbelief, pointing at the video on the wall with a ghastly pale face as he demanded, Faye, what is that? Tell me it's not real. Faye had completely lost her mind. Staring at her own image in the video and the swarming insect shadows covering the walls around her, she let out a scream that sounded utterly inhuman. It's all lies. Every bit of it.
Aurora.
It was you.
You bitch.
You did this to me. She suddenly broke free from Leaf and charged in one direction like a rabid beast. That direction led straight to the surveillance room where I was stationed. Of course, there was no way she could break in. She began frantically slamming her head and body against the specialized glass disguised as a wall, each impact echoing with a deafening bang. Aurora, get out here. Come out and face me if you dare. I watched her tantrum with detached calm, leisurely switching to the next video. The new clip showed her at my place, devouring raw meat paste like a starved ghost. Then came the footage of her in the lounge, murmuring eerie monologues to her reflection, and then the scene where she snatched the staff's boxed meal and devoured it with her bare hands like a rabid animal. One after another, every disgraceful and unhinged side of her was laid bare before tens of millions of netizens. Her, ethereal goddess, persona shattered beyond recognition. The live stream viewership had surged past 50 million and was still climbing rapidly. Everyone was rendered speechless by the horrifying, unhinged scene. Leaf slumped to the floor, his eyes hollow as he stared at the woman on the screen whom he had once cherished like a treasure, as if his very soul had been ripped away. He muttered to himself, "A lunatic. She was a lunatic all along." I fell in love with the madwoman. Watching it all unfold, I felt it still wasn't enough. I picked up the microphone, turned off the voice changer, and spoke softly and clearly in my own voice. Faye, little sister, don't rush. The final grand gift I've prepared for you hasn't even arrived yet. I pressed the final button. In the basement, the piercing insect chirps and Faye's furious roars all vanished. In its place came a melodious piece of music. It was Faye's biggest hit, the song Leaf wrote for her that made her legendary, titled Muse. Amidst the beautiful melody, I began to speak slowly, and my voice spread across the entire internet through the live stream. Hello, everyone. I'm Aurora, Faye's sister. I'm sorry we have to meet under these circumstances. I want to share with you a story about the farmer and the snake. I recounted the story of my previous life exactly, how I stood by her and helped her learn to create after her voice changed, how she relied on my help to get back on her feet, only to let jealousy consume her. At the peak of her career, she set me up, drove me to despair, and ultimately pushed me to jump to my death. My voice was eerily calm, devoid of any accusation or resentment, as if recounting a story that had nothing to do with me. Yet this profound tranquility was more heartbreaking and terrifying than any hysterical accusation could be. When I jumped from the 33rd floor, I thought it was all over. But fate gave me another chance. I went back 3 years to the moment she held up her phone, excitedly telling me she wanted that parasite. This time, I chose to grant her wish. I found her a buyer. I prepared the offering. I personally elevated her step by step to the altar. Because I knew a soul consumed by desire is beyond saving. The only thing I could do was let her witness at the peak of her glory how desire would devour her, inch by inch, until nothing remained. As my words faded, a dead silence fell across the entire network. In the basement, Faye stopped banging her head against the wall. She turned stiffly, staring blankly at the empty room, her eyes filled with unprecedented terror. "Aurora, you've been reborn too?" she asked, her voice trembling and broken. I chuckled softly, enunciating each word deliberately. "Surprised, little sister?" Faye let out the most piercing, most despairing scream of her life. This scream was no longer ethereal or beautiful, but filled with hoarseness and a tearing quality. Something deep in her throat seemed to shatter. She clutched her throat, dropped to her knees, and began coughing violently. She coughed as if her very soul were being torn out, her face contorted in agony as though trying to expel her own organs. After a violent spasm, she jerked her mouth open and expelled a mass from deep within her throat. It was a plump, ghastly pale worm, now more than 10 times larger than when it was implanted, still writhing faintly on the ground. The worm's body was smeared with bloody streaks and slime. It twitched a couple more times on the ground, then fell completely still. The vocal cord goo was dead. Faye's singing voice was completely ruined.